Hey guys, and down here's gonna be my chapter review to My Hero Academia or Boku no Hero Academia 244 recommendation. Now, this was actually I really enjoyed this chapter. I thought it was a solid chapter where we get to see once again like Endeavor's level as a number one hero, but we also get to see kind of like the beginnings of not really the beginnings, but we get to see kind of like the progression of some major death flags, which I don't really want to happen, but it would make the story like that much more entertaining, that much more exhilarating, and even it would promote some sadness in me if they did actually happen. But let's actually go through what happens in the chapter. So the first thing we see are the three interns essentially: Shoto, Deku, and Bakugo. They're trying to catch up to a very very fast paced Endeavor. And Deku's there kind of just like, yo, before we even heard the sound of the shockwave, Endeavor had already darted straight towards the area of danger, the danger area, fast as even begin to describe how quick this guy is. Bakugo's there gritting his teeth like, yo, shit, this guy's moving fast. And we see here that, Shoto's been around Endeavor so much that he's aware of what type of abilities he's using. And he's using Flash Fire. And I was like, what, is Flash Fire some sort of like maneuverability kind of move? Like, is it something that allows him to move with a higher pace? I mean, you see him coated in flames and leaving a trail of flame behind him as he's leaping through the city and almost flying through the city. We then come to this office space where they're looking at the this dude that's been throwing around these orbs and stuff like that, and they're just like, oh shit, look, it's the servant of the stars from Second Street. So apparently, I think he might just be like an old guy that people have seen around the block quite a lot, because they seem to know who he is, and they're just like, oh, it's too early to hear his ranting and his raving. But this is actually a really cool part. We learn what his quirk kind of is, and he seems to be some sort of glass kind of avatar guy. So he seems to be some sort of glass. What's the word? Glass bender, essentially. He's all the glass of all the office spaces around him, they just kind of get sucked in towards him, and he molds it into this giant orb, which is awesome. He can wield glass and essentially then use it. He can maneuver it in any way he wants. So we see this giant glass orb, and then we see these what he's floating on are these smaller glass orbs essentially. And I think what he's done is he can maneuver glass. He's levitating those, and he's sitting on top of them so he doesn't fall off. So he's got mad balance skills essentially. So he throws this orb towards like the middle of the street, and then you just see this streak of fire going straight towards the orb, smashing straight through it, and you see the old man shit his pants a bit. Some blood comes out of his nose. I'm not sure if that was if he was hit or something like that, but some blood comes out of his nose. I'm not sure what that's signifying. But here we see Endeavor in his new outfit, quads looking freaking ultra dense and ultra thick. This guy is like, he trains for sleep, dude. This guy is absolutely stacked. He's built like a brick house, and he uses his move here called Flash Fire Fist, and I think that's what Shoto was referring to when he was saying, "Oh, he's using Flash Fire." So it's essentially it's like some sort of, it's not Final Flash. It's like, when Vegeta kind of went Majin and he used that kind of last ditch effort where he just kind of self-destructed and basically just exploded. He was the center of the energy, and he kind of exploded this orb of energy out from within him, and that essentially killed him. That's what Endeavor does here, but without the dying part. And it looks awesome. You see this glass orb just shatter. And you see here that Endeavor, he's looking at the glass dude, and he's like, he understands that he manipulates glass, and he's like, you know what, your skill is outstanding, but I find it hard to understand why you try and pull some shit in my town. So I was like, okay. And there was like giving him some smack talk, and we see more of his new outfit here. I really like his kind of his extended shoulder pads, essentially these this shoulder armor. I'm not sure exactly what it does, but it looks cool as shit. I think his belt's changed a bit, the design of his outfit's changed a bit, and Endeavor just looks awesome. I mean, he's such a cool looking hero, and I think that's one of his major points, right? And that's why I'm hoping he's developed more as a character in terms of how he interacts with people, and we'll get to that at the end of this chapter. Instead of just being the guy that looks cool. Everyone's running away from in this office space. Even the old guy flies away because it's too hot around Endeavor. This dude comes out with a giant sword, and he's like, Endeavor, and Endeavor's like, I'll leave the evacuation to you. So I was like, oh, okay, nice way to get off screen. Endeavor's chasing the glass dude, the glass old guy, down this alleyway, and you see that this was a planned attack. The 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 old dude goes through these kind of wires which have been put up by some people he's recruited, and they come and they try to attack Endeavor. Endeavor's completely calm. He's like, yeah, this is nothing to me. But instead of apprehending the individuals that are trying to attack him, we see Bakugo and we see Deku speed in and take out these guys, or attempt to take out these guys, as they protect Endeavor's back. And I love the fact that Endeavor essentially let these two interns, who he knows very little about apart from what he saw at the sports festival, apart from what he knows about them from Shoto, he's entrusted them enough to say, you know what, I've given you my orders, which are stay close to me, catch up with me, and then just watch. But even though he's given them those orders and told them to stay close to those orders, he's completely trusting them with covering his back, which I think is awesome. And I think it shows a little bit of growth in Endeavor and his character. So Endeavor grabs the old dude, and then suddenly we see some feathers fly in, and Hawks comes in and takes out the guys that were kind of beneath this old guy, the old glass manipulation dude, and he takes them out first. So even though Deku and Bakugo were there, Hawks gets there just a little bit faster, and he takes them out. But he recognizes that both Deku and Bakugo are interns. Obviously, the inner kind of fanboy in Deku starts going a little bit apeshit because he's next to the number 2 hero as well as the number 1 hero. And Hawks here is just saying, I thought Endeavor might have been in a tough spot, so here I am now. This is the beginning of his bullshit, and I'm hoping this is where Endeavor will catch up. Like, Endeavor needs to realize, I'm hoping he realizes that, why is Hawks here in my territory? He knows that I'm good, and he knows that I've got these interns with me. He knows that I should be fine unless like a high-end normal pops up or some shit like that. So why is he in my territory? He thought I was in a tough spot, but he knew I was against like some really minor characters. Like, why did he think he needed to help me? And he even asks, he's like, did it look like I was in a tough spot? And this is where Hawks is like, oh yeah, he did look like he was in a tough spot, right, Shoto? And Shoto's just like, yeah, sure, why not? And obviously Hawks is just kind of bullshitting here, saying, I was just in the vicinity. I thought I was, I'd just help out. So while Endeavor's there thanking the police for taking, for apprehending these individuals, even the glass dude, we get this kind of, this ominous quote from the glass dude saying that, that man he's talking about, Endeavor, is the source of darkness. That light that he emits shall summon the darkness. Now, I don't think he's so wrong. I mean, like, he might be a bit cray-cray, and I doubt he has any kind of, like, future sight abilities. But it's essentially what he's saying is that, the light that Endeavor's emitting, i.e. the power of him being at the number 1 hero spot, and the kind of, the safety that he's blanketing all these other citizens with, that will summon the darkness, i.e. that will summon people, the villains and stuff like that, who will come to try and counteract him, who will come to try and end his career and probably kill him as well. And that's what being the number 1 encompasses. And I think Endeavor kind of understands that, but that's what the old guy is talking about, in my opinion. The police are just like, yeah, another incident solved with no casualties. The city's chilling while you're here, while you're here with your watchful eye and stuff like that. Deku introduces himself to Hawks. Hawks is like, oh yeah, you're that kid that blew up his fingers on national TV. I was like, really? That's how you're gonna remember this guy? But he also says, I've heard about you from Tokiyami. I would have liked to work with you and stuff like that. And he even mentions that, Tokiyami, he isn't doing his internship with Hawks necessarily. He's doing it with Hawks' sidekicks, because Hawks has just been really busy as of late. And then he looks over at Bakugo and he's like, I kind of feel bad. And he looks at Bakugo and he's like, I feel bad for him. And I love Bakugo's face. He's just pissed off. He's like, just so we're clear, we got there faster. So obviously, Hawks was just he'd gotten rid of the guys that were with the glass dude a little bit faster than Bakugo and Deku, but obviously Bakugo is not happy about that. So this is where we get to the real part of the chapter, which is the ominous part. Endeavor's just like, what business do you have with me, Hawks? Why did you come in at such a random time? And Hawks is like, it's not exactly business, but have you read this Paranormal Liberation Front book? And they've all heard of what this book is. Endeavor knows exactly what it is, I think. Deku seems to know what it is. And he's like, he talks about how there's this group that have read this book, and the guys that have kind of followed that ideology, they've been growing recently, rapidly. They're garnering even more attention after that kind of Deka City event. It's an old memorandum and all that stuff. And basically its main idea is if only a limited number of people are allowed to live freely, the consequences will all fall on those who weren't granted that right. I.e., if only the heroes can use their quirks, then the people who are unable to use their quirks lawfully will be the people that suffer. Referring to Deka City, where citizens and stuff like that were actually killed and things like that. So the media says. And he tells Endeavor, he's like, if you don't got a lot of time, just read the section I bookmarked. And we see this, and then we see in a monologue of Hawks, he's saying, I'm sorry that I have to beat around the bush. So Hawks, we know from that one panel, he's trying to get a message across to Endeavor, but he can't say what the message is. So he's talking about this Paranormal Liberation Front. He's trying to clue Endeavor in on something, and he's trying to basically save his ass. He's probably trying to save his own life, trying to save as many people's lives as he can, but he needs Endeavor to understand the message. So he then talks about Destro and his ideals and how it's everything they could wish for, a society where everyone could look out for themselves, how it really fits this era. And he's there, you can see in his mind panicking. He's like, this is the only way I can get this message across. And Endeavor's like, what the hell are you talking about? And then you see the last page where he's just looking at Endeavor with a straight face, talking about that dream that he had beforehand. He's like, if we can make this book a reality, then we'll have all the free time in the world. So he's like, he's looking at Endeavor saying, we'll have all the free time in the world. The last time he said that to Endeavor, he was there smiling. He was very joyful about it. That was his dream, you know. That's something he wanted to actually accomplish. And I think Endeavor kind of clocks onto it. You see his eye white out. You see him thinking back to this event, to this time where Hawks was like, yeah, this is what my dream is. And Hawks is in his head. You see it. He's thinking, please pick up on this number one hero. Please pick up on this Endeavor. Now, it's very obvious to me that, you know, the signals that Hawks is giving. You know, his whole thing is, his dream is, I want to live in a world where the hero society is so efficient, it's working so well that we have, you know, people like you and I, the top heroes, that you know, just the names of heroes, just the idea of heroes is such a fear for anyone who would be willing to commit villainous acts that they simply don't do it. That's kind of hero society he wants to live in. They're so good at what they do. They're so efficient at what they do. They're so powerful that villainous activity just doesn't happen. They directly negate any villainous activity, and they live in a world where they're free to do what they want and they have free time. That's the kind of world he wants to live in, a world where hero society is amazing and efficient. But here he's saying that he likes the idea of there being no hero society, where people can just be their own everyday heroes, and everyone's free to use their quirks, and basically a lawless society, and everyone upholds the law that they see fit. So obviously, I'm hoping Endeavor will pick up on this, because he even says it with a completely different face to the one that he said, to the one that he told Endeavor when they had that meal or whatever it was. So I'm hoping Endeavor picks up on this. I mean, like, this is where we get to see whether his social skills are actually any good. But I also don't want Hawks to die. You know, I feel like he's doing a very, very difficult job. He's probably doing the most difficult job any hero is doing out there. And I'm hoping he doesn't have to do it alone, essentially. I'm hoping he's not remembered as the villain. I'm hoping he's not remembered as, you know, this guy was a double agent. He was part of the villain crew and stuff like that. Whereas, in fact, we know he's a triple agent. He's a hero who the villains think is a double agent and is working for them, but he's actually working for the hero society. He's working for the government in terms of, you know, he's their agent looking in on the League of Villains and what they're doing and stuff like that. So that's the end of the chapter. I really hope NG Endeavor picks up on this, because, you know, Hawks is literally telling him, he's like, I've bookmarked this page, go read it, help me out, I'm gonna die if you don't do something. So, like, I really feel like this was Hawks pleading for Endeavor to do something to help him out a little bit. Hopefully Endeavor has the capacity to understand this message. So let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in a bit.